only resort to right-wing doom? It's Worth It: How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics and Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. And of course, good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of el Internet, the Internet formerly known as the ARPANET, created by whom? Created by you, created by we, the people. Folks, we have to recover our own economy, our personal economies, and our national economies. We have a lot to talk about today, but before we get started, like to go ahead and go to the studio where we have our resident geniuses, the folks who really keep things working out here, El Senor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
Oh, I'd say it's more like Stanley Laurel and Hardy. Well, this is another fine mess you've got me into, Jack. All right.
That was a good one, Jack. I could hear that well.
Well, it's about a minute after 6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 11th of June, 2025. And on the line here, provided the tin cans and string have held up, is our interim general manager, Sandy Weinman.
Oh, tin cans and string, have you held up?
Oh,
I
good.
hope so.
Yes, they have.
Good morning, Egberto. Good morning, Howard.
Morning.
Good morning to our key listeners on this Wednesday, the final Wednesday of our May-June fund drive. We're closing in on our goal. Currently, we're about $13,672 shy of the finish line, and we're going to continue this so that we can tank up totally and be ready to go through the summer months to October before we do it again. Listeners, sponsors are the lifeblood of KPFT. And right now, we're looking for that transfusion that gets us to the next fund drive, which again is October. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Please do your part in support of community radio as you're part of the listening community. Egberto.
Thank you so kindly, Sandy. Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, everybody. Folks, I want to add that real quick in that, yes, we are still in fund drive, but you know what, man? This is the last week. I'm giving you as full a program as I can, and that is, of course, contingent on calls coming in. So I want not calls and going to the website to support the program. So just before I get started, give me a minute here to say, look, we there's a whole lot happening in the country right now. There's a whole lot of misinformation, ill information, disinformation happening right now. Things are not what they seem, and it is by design. You are very, very smart, but you can only be as effective with your intellect, with the input that you have, with the information that you have. And when there is a coalition of media in the aggregate, and a lot of this stuff isn't malicious, it just happens that way because of leadership. When there is disinformation out there, man, it really warps what we think, it warps what we do, it warps our actions, our behavior. And the only way to solve that is and by the way, America is the country where people work the hardest. I mean, in overseas, we have the siesta, we have the long vacations that everybody is entitled to because they work towards that. Around the world, Latin America, you hear about people doing their siestas, their well-being, etc. Other countries did much better with COVID. All of this is simply due to information and how it is dispersed, how we get it. And right now, that is the big problem we have in America. Disinformation, not accidental, but absolutely by design. And one of the things that I I've always promised to do with this program is one, to be fact based, but most importantly, to be truthful. And again, every now and then one may have a slip up here and there, to make sure to correct said slip up without shame. Just go ahead and say, well, that one was a boo boo if that occurs. But for us to be able to maintain that, we do need your support. We really do need your support. These programs only stay on air. They can only stay on air if we can contribute. Now, thank you very much. You know, when we have these different turns in the way we do things, we forget one of the most important parts of this program, and it's the wisdom of my brother, Jacques Van Bever. So I will continue this as soon as we hear from Jacques Van Bever.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning. Hey, Jack, you know something? I was about to, get into my thing. Now, and when you feel like there's something missing, but you don't know what it is, that's what just happened.
You can't start your day without a little of Jack's wisdom,
There
I
you go,
guess.
brother. There you go.
All right. It's been long known that President Trump uses people's prejudices against a tool as a tool to excite his base into a fervor of hatred and cruelty against the immigrant. The rest of us see this as a and feel a sense of shame at what America is becoming, a nation that is all about the money and leaves compassion and morality trampled in the dust on the trail behind them. If Trump's is America's reckoning, then let the billionaires steal all the money they desire and watch how quick they destroy themselves, America, and the rest of the world with it.
Amen. Amen. And you know what? That the key words there, they'll destroy themselves. They will destroy themselves because
Capital Capitalism is an animal that only knows hunger, and it will devour all, even itself.
But you know what? When folks sit back and believe, well, I can be that rich person. You know, people have been saying from the let's just begin from the time of Reaganomics in the 1980s. We've had the same song sung all along. Trickle down will work. Eventually, you'll get your own. We don't want to tax people because I may get rich. And if I get rich, I don't want to be taxed. So there's this false expectation that everybody has equal access to success. Everybody have equal access to succeed. The truth of the matter is, we have proven time and again that what we have is not equal access to success, but you are invited into success. You are in, I mean, most, and anybody listening to my voice right now, and I'm not trying to be nice to you, but there's nothing that that person, that entrepreneur, that person that's advanced has. And when I say that person, I'm not talking about the individual. I'm talking about the individual along with the structure that individual was brought up into. There's nothing that those that have succeeded have over you. Look, I'm not talking about folks that don't, people that may not have ambition, people that may just want to watch TV all day. So that is the minority of people. Most people, given the opportunity, actually would succeed like anyone else, but you have to be invited into the club. You know, my daughter went through medical school completely, finished medical school, but she got two strokes, so she won't be able to practice medicine. But here's the funny part: that how she got accepted to medicine was not a sure thing. Her first crack at it was not a sure thing. She tried and tried again to get in, and she did, even above and beyond having the grades and all of that to get in. But you have to be invited to the thing, to the game. You have to be invited. I can go into more of that, but not right now. We're in fund drive. So one of the things that I wanted to say is for us to keep doing this, folks, and for us to be truth tellers, for us to give you that point of view that you're not going to get on your mainstream media or elsewhere, that is why we do these fund drives for keeping a station and a program like this on air. So please go ahead and give us a call at 713 526 5738, extension number 1 to contribute, or go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, select Politics Done Right as a program that you're supporting, the gifts that you want, and go ahead and let's close this baby. Now, what are we offering? We are asking if you have the wherewithal to do so for sustaining membership. Uh, I know if you were to see me in the street, or if you see Sandy or Howard or Jack, hey, you guys are the guys that I listen to in the morning. Let me buy you a coffee, and I'm sure you do that. You know, once a month if you saw them once a month. Hey, let's go sit down and have a coffee. What the hell's going on, bro? Or maybe $10. I say coffee is $5. I drink the cheap stuff. Sandy talks about coffee being $10. I guess in our building here, let's go ahead and frame Sandy as our elitist. Not real, but let's go frame him because he do the $10 coffee. So you can have an Egberto or a Sandy. All right, Egberto is at $5 a month coffee. Sandy is at $10 a month coffee. And hey, Rick, that doesn't mean much to you, but to us it is everything because we get a whole lot of you doing that. We can stop having me interrupt great programming that you want to come and say, hey, could you please send us a donation? We don't want to do this. Sandy said he can hold it out until October when we fulfill our task today, tomorrow, Friday. So give us a call, 713 526 5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org, select that donate button. I want to thank you on air right now. I want to thank you on air right now. So please do so. If you just want to listen to the program and then when we're pitching, chime in, Sandy's going to come in and pitch in a little bit, but let me get started with what I want to talk about. The title of the show today is Dr. Glaude calls out Americans' morals, Rubio to kill USAID as we know it. But what I want to start with is the progressive budget. The progressive budget, and it was talked about yesterday by Congressman Khanna. Now, as congressional Republicans push a mega bill that would add an estimated $2.4 trillion to the national debt, while giving lavish tax breaks to rich and gutting anti poverty initiatives for the working class, Congressman Khanna on Tuesday unveiled a progressive plan to cut the deficit by what? $12 trillion. Remember, the big, beautiful bill, which we know better as the big bad bill, is going to increase the deficit from anywhere from 2.5 to $4 trillion. This bill by Khanna, it's not magical. $12 trillion reduction in bill. Can that be done? Well, guess what? Democrats did it before. I wasn't able to play the video that I had for you yesterday, but the last time we had a balanced budget was in the year 2000 when Clinton was leaving office. He had several years of balanced budgets and debt reduction. It's possible, and when you do that, your economy explodes as it did under Clinton. Everybody talks about the Reagan miracle. They don't talk about the Clinton super miracle because under Reagan, we got on the order of 16 million jobs over his two terms, 4 years, 8 years in the White House. But under Clinton, and by the way, and in the process of getting $16 million, Reagan blew the budget by in those days $40 billion, much more than anybody at that time and he got 16 million. That was Keynesian economics on steroids. He got 16 million jobs out of that. Uh, Clinton got himself 20 something, I think it was 21 million jobs or 22 million, somewhere around there, million jobs. But at the same time, not with a budget deficit, but with a budget surplus paying down the debt. And that doesn't get advertised. And why don't you think that is advertised? That isn't advertised because the way it was done, it was to raise taxes not by a bunch, not by the 70% during the Kennedy days for the highest tax rate, but by the 40% or so on on income over a certain amount. In other words, if you make regular money, you don't pay a lot of taxes, but if you make an inordinate amount of money, you pay a larger marginal tax rate on that. And all of that together brought down the deficit by design. And also, there, other than those tax increases, there were also programs established. And these programs put money into people's pockets, which, because of a thing known as a concept in economics known as the marginal propensity to consume, which means if you give money to somebody who doesn't have money, they're going to spend it. And what does spending mean? Throwing that into the economy right away, buying more bread, milk, and all of that, which means the dairy guy gets more money for the extra cows that he has to milk. The farmer gets more money for the extra bread, that the flour that's needed for the bread, etc. And the extra toy that you buy for your kid generates, it works all around because you are moving money from people who don't have a high marginal propensity to consume. In other words, if I have $1 billion and I get $1 million tax cut, am I going to put that $1 million into the economy? Hell no. I don't. I mean, there's nothing that is stopping me at all. Nothing that is stopping me at all from getting the things that I want. So I don't add any more to the economy. I don't spend any more by getting a tax cut if I'm wealthy. It doesn't work that way. But if I go ahead and tax the wealthy, and remember, all that wealth was made on your back anyways. If I tax the wealth, right? And I throw that back into the person's hand in the form of education, in the form of subsidies for healthcare, subsidies for all these other things. That is extra money that person has to throw into the economy, and they do it. And how do we know that? We have the Reagan when it comes to successful presidents economically. We had the Reagan experiment where we increased the deficit, we got some jobs, but we exploded the deficit, and we have the Clinton example that we had a substantial surplus as well as an enormous amount of work because of more. We have the data, folks. We have the data to prove this stuff. And the reason the media does not centralize on this is that the solution is that the wealthy are going to pay more, deservedly so. Okay? The California Democrats' Progressive Deficit Reduction Plan, introduced in a report and floor speech, has 5 recommendations. Modernize the military, $850 billion. Get rid of upcoding and fraud, Medicare Advantage. And we shouldn't get rid of upcoding and fraud in Medicare Advantage. We need to get rid of Medicare Advantage. Medicare Advantage is a fraud on the American people. And anybody who sells Medicare Advantage, please feel free to call the program. Let's talk about how it really, really works. Call the program, please, my brothers and sisters who are out there convincing your mama, your daddy, and people to take Medicare Advantage. It is a fraud on the American people. Call, please call, and try to defend it. He gets another $170 billion to get by getting rid of fossil fuel subsidies, $200 billion by Medicare drug price control. Khanna's proposal points out that the Pentagon, which has a budget of nearly $1 trillion, has never passed an audit, and that getting ripped off by contractors is an issue not only at the Department of Defense, but across the federal government. So why are our bills so high by the federal government? Because who rips us off again? Private sector contractors. The $1 trillion Pentagon budget has never passed an audit. And you know what? When Doge came into the fold, they closed down stuff that keep people alive and things that murder people, like big bombs and all of that. None of that got. Let's see where the money is going. None of that was looked into by Doge. But USAID cut over 200,000 people dead so far. we have to be we have to be honest with the way we look at these things. So the document also emphasizes the need to crack down on fraud involving Medicare Advantage and argues that there's absolutely no reason for Americans should pay 2 to 4 times more for prescriptions that people in Canada, Germany, or the UK pay. Let me just say one thing about a person policy that I know. They have an insurance policy for drugs. Guess what the drug company called and asked them? I'm not a drug company, it's an insurance company. Is it okay if we ship some of your drugs from that you use your medical drugs from Canada? Of course, the person said yes. But think about that. Having to buy drugs from Canada to get a cost reduction, as opposed to us getting the right price for drugs that we use our tax dollars to develop. Specifically, Khanna's proposal restores the domestic corporate tax rate to 28%, collects international corporate taxes, closes loopholes like carried interest, and adds 0.01 financial transaction tax. He also wants to make billionaires pay taxes on their wealth and loans on it, close inheritance tax loopholes, restore the top marginal tax rate to 39.6%, reinstate Internal Revenue Service funding to go after tax cheats, and remove a cap that allows them to pay into the program at a fraction of the rate that most working class Americans pay. Exactly. Khanna, who is expected to run for president during the next cycle, also contrasted his plan with the budget reconciliation package currently moving through GOP. That is a big bad bill. GOP Congress. His reports asserts that the Republican legislation is not responsibility; it's a giveaway to the wealthy that stakes future generations with the bill. I will continue this, but first let me go ahead and give a big salute to Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia, Harry Denson from Missouri City, Bruce Pollard from Kingwood, Atascocita. It says, we thank you, Egberto, and I thank you, all of you who are supporters of the show. Bruce is a big supporter of the program as well. Most of the people in the chat right now are supporters. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. How about no subsidy or entitlement in government won't compute with a capitalist system? You have to have some sort of redistribution, or else the mathematical formula for capitalism is to take all. Look, it is just that way. Look, the fact that capital grows at a faster rate than book pass interest and labor tells you that the formula for capitalism is to take all the wealth out of the lower classes and then ultimately have indentured servitude. That is just a formula. I didn't make it. That's just how it works. And it's simple. You have a pie that all of us participate in, it is growing. And if it's growing at 7% for capital, people who own capital, but if you have a passbook where you get payment for your passbook savings, you get 0.5% or 1% or whatever, and all the other income you have is through work, which gains 0% as far as wealth accumulation and capture. It actually tells you that eventually you move on to solely servitude. It's a mathematical formula, Leader Bearcat. So saying we don't want redistribution in a capitalist society absolutely says that you are okay, that eventually we will all be indentured servants. Just remember that. That's the capitalist formula. I didn't make it. All right, in the chat, Cheryl Elkin says, good morning. Today's quote of the day for me: the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing, a reminder that everything we do, no matter how small, is moving the needle. Keep at it, everyone. Welcome aboard Meredith Ramsey, RJ Schuster, John Davis, Joan Mills, Uju M, Jack K, Christina, Ubit, Lana Foley, Laurie Boschat, March KJ, Susan Calibri, Still I Rise, Sabrina, Jane B in North Carolina, Jacqueline Lewis, RCB, Kathleen Moore, and many other, Christine, Julie Yoga, etc. We have a ton of folks on Substack. And of course, I usually miss the first 40 because Substack doesn't give it to me. All right, folks, I'm going to continue with the narrative, but we are in Fund Drive. We are at zero and we do need to raise some money. Consider breakfast, or rather, it is not breakfast, but coffee with Egberto. That is a $250 contribution. Please consider doing that if you have the wherewithal. I guarantee you a good time. And everybody who's done the coffee with Egberto have had a good time and have so told me have had a good time. Also, 250 for the coffee with Egberto. You can get our T-shirt, the Politics Done Right T-shirt. $100, $100. You can also do the $5 a month. Why not? You get Tom Hartman is coming on August 9th. Tom Hartman, you guys love Tom Hartman because he's real. He's one of my, what I call one of my mentors, because the guy is such a smart man. He knows his stuff, he does his research. Much love. T.S. Marie's in the house from Western North Carolina. Thank you for being here, beautiful. So folks, Tom Hartman is coming in. Get that $5 a month stuff if you're in the area, and go check out Tom Hartman on August 9th. But I tell you what, Sandy is going to come on and do some pitching right now. We love Sandy's voice, but guess what? You heard the pitching already, right? So while Sandy's talking, you're not going to lose anything in the program. You can go ahead and make the call as Sandy is pitching. Make the call or go to kpft.org, hit the donate button. Sandy going to pitch for a few minutes, and you can donate that time. You don't lose any of the program. Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto. Yes, I'll pitch for a minute or two here. I think people are now familiar with the idea that we're listener funded. This represents the end of the third week today. So, we're closing in on our goal. We're almost there. In fact, it's within yelling distance. But we'll never make it if nobody calls. So who will be the first to join us? Who will be the first to join us as a sustainer? $5 or $10 a month. I can't speak loudly enough to say thank you to all those that are sustainers at KPFT. As of right now, we're receiving not quite, but roughly half the money that we need each month through the sustaining program. That means when this drive ends, and we wait until October to do this again, that means that half the money that we need every month is coming in by credit card. And because we've been, conservative with our money, not spending wildly, we have enough now built up to where we can eliminate one of these drives and glide to October. But it's really essential that we're able to make it all the way without crashing the plane, so to speak. We need enough fuel in the tank. So for those of you that have not yet given this drive, have not yet given this year, maybe never given at all, this would be a good time for you to consider that gift to KPFT, that gift to the community that allows free speech to be broadcast over Houston with 100,000 watts. A community license with 100,000 watts, capable of reaching most of the tightly packed areas in what is the third largest city in the country. Sorry, Chicago. I don't like the way you count those people in that area as opposed to here. We've got a huge audience sitting out there, and we need more people coming on board so that we can continue our free speech experiment in Houston. Look, you could sit idly by and say, yes, I like what I'm listening to, but giving to public radio, just not my jam. Or I really like this station, except for that one show that I heard. And for that one show, heck, I'm just not going to donate. I hear those comments from time to time. Think about it. You listen quite a bit, maybe, and you listen to a lot of different things, some of which you like, some of which you don't like. Such is the nature of community radio, such is the nature of KPFT. Always has been that way, and with any luck, it will always be that way. There'll be something to piss you off. Okay. At least you said to yourself, I don't like that. That's so different than the way I think. Well, think about that. Maybe it would give you pause to say, all right, I'm going to talk to someone about that, maybe on the air. And then through that beginning of dialogue, your mind begins to change about an issue or issues that lead to understanding, that at least lead to the point where we can say we agree to disagree and we can live peaceably. So important, especially right now. It seems like all of the dumbing down of America, lying to you constantly from the felony of the United States, the FOTUS, and it comes to you over and over and over, and through his surrogates as well. Don't buy it. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Get the opinions from a lot of places and then formulate your own. And let one of those places be KPFT, where your friends and neighbors have the microphone, where you have the microphone when you call in. We need your support, folks. We're at zero this morning. We have a $500 goal, and a couple of you doing $5 a month is a powerful statement. It's a $60 annual pledge plus a $50 match. So in all, if four of you do $5 a month, we make our $500 goal. So far this morning, we have no one to thank, and we are half an hour into this program. Maybe one of you can break the ice and get us off the zero, which is on our shoulders right now for Wednesday morning. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Tom Hartman, August 9th, a $60 donation or $5 a month sustainer. Sign up, get yourself in the door. There'll be a Q&A session, and there'll also be Grant Peoples to entertain you that night, one of the more clever politico singer-songwriters that we have in our generation. He's coming from Florida for this event. So the two, one from Portland, Tom Hartman, one from Florida, Grant Peoples, coming to the Gulf Coast to meet with our listeners in person at the Emerson Unitarian Church. Should be a good evening, should be an informative evening, should be a fun evening. 713-526-5738. Someone out there, break the ice. Egberto, back to you.
Thank you so kindly, Sandy. Thank you so kindly. Before I continue, you come first, so let's go ahead and throw it to John on line number one. Come on in, John. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
Yeah, what you had just said about the economy. Capitalism, when it first started, was, I think, a very innovative and allowed a lot of different people access to things that they never had before. But as time has gone on, it just has a tendency to basically become monopolistic, and that's where we're at right now. And the only way to combat that, the only force that can combat that is through our elected officials to create institutions that make it more competitive and yes, redistribute wealth. And the countries that have, the least inequality are the ones that actually do that, like Iceland, Norway, Denmark, and then if you go further south into Europe, that's how they have maintained their middle class. And the New Deal was a big attempt at stemming the tide of oligarchy. In the 1930s, we had the same kind of thing with a growing fascist movement all around the world. And the way out of that was the New Deal. And it worked amazingly well. And, we have since ditched it sometime in the 70s. And now we're where we are now with a an incredibly unequal society, we're moving in the direction that Chile went with Pinochet. It really, I mean, I regret that I have to even say that, but this is a strong democracy, and community radio, is an example of that and what you're doing here. So I really applaud you.
Thank you so kindly for that, John, and also for that very important history. The Chile and Argentina and all these places suffered from the influx from the Chicago boys,
Yep.
Milton Friedman's brand of capitalism that pretty much said, remember, guys, you don't have to worry about environment, about people, about anything. Your sole purpose of the executive is to ensure the maximization of profit for the shareholder, which gets you a big bonus. I mean, the thing about it, why I think we are so important, and when I say we about this program, I'm talking about you, I'm talking about those that are supporting the program. What you all are doing when John comes on and make that commentary, it shows that we are out there informing and things that folks aren't going to hear anywhere else, because it's not that the guys on MSNBC, CBS, Fox News, and all of that doesn't know this stuff. They all went to school, to business schools and journalism school, etc. And a lot of this is taught, you know. Uh, but again, it's not in the interest for people to be all that knowledge. John, anything else before I go? Thank you so kindly for that commentary.
Yeah, the people on in the corporate media are just that. They're products themselves, and they are sucking off of us and the rest of the system, while our democracy dies as a result. But it's not going to die. And yeah, I'm also a student of Tom Hartman. I've listened to him for years, and I'm just amazed at different outlets like this outlet, Pacifica Radio, and then also I've listened to Democracy Now! For years. We have to tell the truth about what's going on. We're not getting that in Washington, D.C., and all of us together can really fight that. We can create a populist, progressive, platform to change what 40 and 50 years has done to this country. So that's all
Absolutely,
I.
John. Thank you so kindly for your words, John. Thank you so kindly for your words. Before I go to Augie, I want to go ahead and do one quick pitch, and that is to say, folks, we're still at zero, and you heard what John has had to say. We are programs like this, Tom Hartman and all the others. We are needed more now than ever. I did some numbers here, right? Because right now, Donald Trump successfully got the big bad bill off of the front page. If you take a look at MSNBC, CNN, you are seeing a whole lot of what's going on in LA. That has just about taken over the news. Let me tell you a little fact here, and to show you how I, 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 I I don't use the word evil lightly, because your window into the world your window into the world. I want to give a big, big, big thank you to Bruce and Susan. Thank you so kindly for that donation, my brother from another mother, into the into our coffers. We couldn't do this without folks like you, Bruce. Bruce have always been there for not only the program. Bruce and I have spent some time at many. We've been roomies at Netroots Nation a couple of times. So look, folks, let's join Bruce and continue giving. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org. And please remember to select the donate button. Select Politics Done Right as a program you're selecting, so that it's appropriately credited to the program and Sandy and the others can see, yeah, this is worth keeping on air. All right, but I was saying now, here's what I find so disconcerting. All the TV stations are centralized on what's occurring in uh, LA. And what is occurring in LA, folks, is in front of the federal detention center where they're taking these people that they're rounding up like cattle, workers, people that are making our economy run. They're picking those up, not the criminals that are out there. They're picking up working families, working folks out there that allow you to go ahead and get your home fixed at a from a skilled person, not at a corporate price, but at a price that you pay an individual to do the work they do. That's the kind of folks that they're taking off the streets. You need to rebuild your deck. You need some help. You bring somebody, not a corporation that's going to have to pay lawyers, and you bring somebody that gets paid a fair wage and does the work. That's who they're arresting right now. And there are a lot of protests that say you are messing with our form of life. And I know they say, oh, they're not documented. That's another story. We need to fix immigration. There's absolutely truth to that. But the news media is making you believe that just like they did in Portland, like the place is exploding, the vandalism, etc. Folks, all of this is occurring on basically 4 square blocks in downtown LA. 4 square blocks, 0.0156 miles, point less than 1% of a mile of a square mile. I repeat, all of the activity you see on ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox News, all of that stuff that you're seeing is on 4 city blocks in LA. And yesterday, finally yesterday, the drone went up. The people showed it from a drone that you could see where the activity was. I've been waiting for the drone shot for a long time. They finally gave a drone shot of what the activity looks like. 4 city blocks, 0.01 square mile, 1%, less than 1% of a mile, or about 1% of a mile. Guess how big LA is? 501.55 square miles. So there is more happening in other sections of LA where thieving and thuggery is occurring that the cops could be concentrating on than those 4 blocks that the media is fully engaged on, and letting most Americans believe that there is riot and condemnation occurring in LA. That is the lie that you're being told, folks. I repeat, 0.01 square mile is where we are having a problem with protesters, while LA is 500.55 miles. They did the same thing in Portland. Oh, the riots in Portland and Portland burning. It was a park and 4 city blocks at the courthouse. That was all that activity you saw in Portland. And they gave you close-up shots. When the Tea Party was in full-fledged, they would have 20, 30, 40 people, or maybe sometimes 100 people, and they give close-up shots. The Tea Party is active. The Tea Party going up against the Obamacare, etc., back in 2010. And they give you those close-up shots. We had a function with the coffee party. Over 1,000 people enduring a snowstorm. And I have the videos on my website. We are out there. We are out there not protesting. We had a program called Enough is Enough, where we had speakers from all over the country on the West Mall at the Capitol. You know how many reporters showed up? One. You know who covered that? I'm a part of Coffee Party, and I had to cover it my damn self. Over 1,000 people in a snowstorm. We're expecting 5,000, but bringing people in. We had people coming in from Appalachia, California, Michigan, all these places. Every state was represented. You know how much coverage we got? Again, This is what we have. They set a narrative to keep you dumb. They set a narrative to keep you uninformed. Susan Jagoda, the only reason for the problem, the feds, they caused the problems. I hear you, Susan. The LAPD has to show up because of the feds. I hear you, Susan. I hear you. You're so right. All right, let's go to Augie. Come on in, brother Augie. But before Augie, I want to thank Phyllis. Thank you so kindly, newcomer. Thank you so kindly for your contribution from Ruidoso, New Mexico. I love Ruidoso. I spent a week in Ruidoso at a resort, uh, playing mini golf, man. You know, I don't know how to play golf. I've tried it, mini golf in beautiful. There was a big the year that I went. There was a big fire up in the mountains, but it was great, beautiful place, Ruidoso. All right, let's go to Augie. Augie, sorry for keeping you on hold, brother. Come on in. By the way,
That's
Augie's
okay.
a great supporter as well. Great supporter of KPFT on not only politics done right, but all throughout KPFT, including showing up in person. Thank you, Augie.
Yeah, yeah. The Republicans they want to run a government just like business, but the way they want to run business is by cutting costs. If a business, if all they focus on was cutting costs, they'd be out of business. Uh, there were several Tex-Mex restaurants here where the parents turned it over to the youngsters. The last couple of years, youngsters went to college, took business courses that they're being taught now, and business courses and universities, they're talking about they have algorithms for cutting costs. So these youngsters, all of a sudden, business is going down, and they go to their parents, and the parents tell them, "Well, if you want to run a business and keep it going, you got to take care of your employees and you got to take care of your customers." Uh, Somehow, the looks like Republicans never heard about that business plan, and I remember growing up in the 50s and 60s when they were talking about capitalism. They said anybody could be a CEO. You can start in a mailroom, work your way up, know your company, you know your business, and you could take over. And I know people who did that. I knew a guy who started off in a mailroom, and then he became management. And people were proud of him when he did that. But all of a sudden, things had changed. Everybody wants to cut costs. But you don't stay in business by cutting costs. You stay by bringing in revenue. That's what keeps you in business. But they don't tell you about that. Revenue is taxes. When you start reducing taxes, particularly on the upper class who's got the money, and you put it on the burden of the middle class and lower class, that doesn't do much to anything. And the Republicans also talking about putting the Ten Commandments in front of everybody, in front of the government buildings, courthouses, and in the classrooms. But I don't think they ever read the Ten Commandments. Greed is a deadly sin. Gluttony is a deadly sin. I remember seeing photos of Trump with his hamburgers and fried chicken in front of him. Then he gets bad news and he throws that chicken and hamburgers against the wall.
Yep.
Then somebody else has to clean up after him. He doesn't clean up. Some hired people clean up, not him, clean up his mess. And that's what we're doing now for these Republicans, cleaning up their messes. And right now, we're in hurricane season and they shut down NOAA that was redoing the floodplains. There's a lot of people in a 500-year floodplain. Well, NOAA was getting ready to get the climate change information and make it like a 5-year floodplain. But they got kicked out of office before they could finish completing that for people to know, hey, you might be in danger.
Yeah.
And not only that, they cut funding for that flood insurance. So,
So,
even if you got
Augie,
flood insurance, you may not be able to get the money you need.
absolutely, Augie, you're so right. You're so right. Let me go. My calls are starting to come in, brother Augie. So look, thank you for calling in. Thank you for the info, and again, thank you for just being a great supporter and listener of KPFT, brother. Thank you so kindly. All right.
Yeah, thanks. Bye bye.
All right. Let's go to Uju. Uju, come on in.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Uju.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what Augie was saying. Well, I guess one really big thing to keep up the trend of this big, beautiful, big bad bill. I think it's yes, it's about what he was saying about the model of business. I used to have a business, and my business is successful. I sold it because I moved. And the issue is the idolatry and the greed and the corruption of it all. Because if you think about it, he's right. The whole purpose of having a business is if you generate revenue, you treat people right. You know, your employees will stay. If you pay them right, your employees will stay and they'll be loyal to you. But the issue is this model of capitalism, which I of course I love capitalism. I benefit from it. But the model of capitalism is that when you make all this money, not only do you continue having more love for it, you become greedy and you want more and more and more. And by having more and more and more, you're thinking, let's cut costs. Let's do this to cut costs. It's like, how much more do you really need? And that's the issue. And that's one of the seven deadly sins. Greed is really ultimately what has been injected into capitalism that essentially makes profit, puts profits over people. Because if you think about it, these pharmaceutical companies, these insurance companies, they're wealthy, right? Why do they need more? Why do they want more? They just they don't need it because it's not like their families are not taken care of. They don't have their multiple homes and their multiple yachts. It's the love for it, the need for it. So for you to get more, you have to, in quotation, cut costs, which ultimately is the issue. Because as opposed to putting your employees first, because taking care of your employees, doing basic things that your employees will be loyal to you and never want to leave you and literally love working there. They do not care. It's like, oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's make sure that we can maximize costs. Let's make sure we can pay our CEO millions of dollars, right? Like, right, what's happening right now with Warner Brothers Discovery, them trying to pay their CEO $52 million, being the highest paid CEO in all of entertainment. Like, does he need the $52 million? No, he wants it because he's greedy. Warner Brothers, everything about that model is greedy. So it's just sad because I've always believed, which I employed when I had for my own business, you treat people right, you take care of your employees, make sure that they have a decent living, make sure that they don't feel dehumanized by, having to take on multiple jobs, and they will never leave you. They will be
Uju,
loyal to you. They will even want to work more.
I want to ask you one question because I agree with everything you said. I'm concerned with one thing that you mentioned, and I want to know if that's what you really meant. I think you said that you constantly want to make more, and to do so, you cut costs. But at the same and cutting costs could also involve cutting the costs of your employees, how much you pay them, etc. I don't think that's what you're saying. And
No,
correct me if
no, 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 no. It's not. No, it's
okay.
not. I'm saying they're doing. Yeah, yeah. That's what they're doing. Which
I needed to reassure because I wasn't talking to you as Uju. I was talking to you as
right,
Uju, the CEO as of her company,
right,
because
right,
be,
right, right,
be,
right, right.
because
Absolutely.
my thing is this, right? I've had several companies as well, and one of right now, even with what I do in media, one of the reasons I don't have employees is because I if somebody were gonna work for me, I wanted to give them everything that I expect out of myself, that I expect from myself as well. Because I don't believe in indentured servitude. I believe in equity, right? And I don't mean that they're going to get every. I mean, if I work more, I get
Right,
more. If you work more, you get more, etc.
right,
I agree with all of that.
right.
But the capitalist model isn't that. It's the capitalist model doesn't talk about you working. It talks about capital working for you.
Taken.
So
Yes,
you see what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Taken.
And
Yeah.
so my issue is, you said I love capitalism. I am completely opposite from that. I do not love capitalism. I love capitalism as a tool where it belongs. In other words,
Oh
there
yes,
is
yes, that's what I meant too. That's what
okay,
I meant as in like yes, as a tool because it does. There are some aspects of it that work, right?
right?
Oh, but
Yes,
ultimately the issue we're having now is that the current model right now is literally what has transferred wealth,
got
53
you.
million, 53 trillion of wealth from the bottom 99% to the top 1% from 1984 to now. That's
There
why
you
we're
go.
having it's almost like one plus one equals two, and everybody knows this. But people have now deluded themselves into thinking 1 + 1 = 5. What exactly do you think is going to happen when you literally decimate the people who are responsible for this economy, right? When you essentially siphon all the money and all the wealth up to the top 1%.
Amen.
What exactly does society think is going to happen? Like, is 1 + 1 = 2 people? Like, can we just agree on that? And if you
Right.
siphon all the money, again, today, this is the first in this day and age, this is the first time people in their 30s and their 40s have worse future prospects than their parents did. You hear stories about, and of course, this is not just for race and other minority groups, but back in the day, people say, "Oh, make America great again," and they're thinking of the days where they had two parents in the household. The dad worked, mom was home, and they were able to afford 3 vacations, have one home, have a vacation home, and maybe even have a car and a boat. The reason that doesn't exist anymore is because all the money has been siphoned from the bottom 99% to the top 1%. And it literally
Amen.
started with Reagan. It started with Reagan. Again, people, 1 + 1 = 2. And this big bad bill is going to literally, unlike anything this country has ever seen, do just that. It's going to be worse than the 1930s and the robber barons.
There you
Like,
go.
it doesn't even matter how you try to slice it.
Uju.
It's going to be worse. And I just can't even, 1 + 1 = 2 people. 1 + 1 = 2, not 5.
Thank you, Uju. Uju, look, sis,
All right.
thank you. I need to go to Amy, then Sandy, then I'll go back to Brian. Come on in, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing fine. Talk to me, sis.
Yeah. So, what's the official topic? Just to clarify, it's
The
just
official topic is
about
the main topic we're talking about is what Khanna talked about, the progressive bill that intends to reduce the deficit.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. So, I called a while back, and I think I told you that Trump, from a biblical standpoint, he's the Antichrist. So he's going to do everything in his power to destroy America, and I think we see that just transpiring every day right before our very eyes. And yeah, this bill is no different. And I think with the people who are just such loyalists to Trump and MAGA, they're in for a very rude awakening. They're going to follow him off a cliff, and it's just not going to be good. But I just really like to touch on, from a biblical standpoint, he fits all the biblical prophecies. It says he will destroy beautifully. He will throw truth to the ground, which we know he does on a daily basis. It says he will be boastful, which Trump is the most boastful president we've ever had. He compares himself to Alexander the Great, as we also know. Alexander the Great conquered to conquer. That's what it also says. He will conquer to conquer, and look at him trying to take over Greenland, Mexico. Yeah, he's taking away all the government assistance programs. And, I've had a change of heart, just so you know. I used to lean more towards, not that I'm anti-immigration or anti-immigrants coming over. I do believe everyone should have the opportunity to come over and, make the American dream. I'm married to my husband. He's Mexican, and his family's from Mexico. So I don't know how to go about doing that, because it's just so hard for these people to come over here. And they get taken advantage of by these coyotes who bring them over here. So I don't know what the answer is to that, but I don't think that they should be just kicked out, these regular working people, hardworking people. And I'll just leave it at that. But
Thank you.
I just want to make sure it's very clear he is the Antichrist, period,
Thank you
point
so
blank.
Thank you so kindly for your words, Amy. Let's go to Sandy. We still need to raise some more money. Sandy, you're on.
Yeah, we do need to raise some more money. And I want to chime in on something that was said about paying workers livable wages and making sure that they don't leave your employment because they're happy there and they're productive there. This could be applied to KPFT. There was a time when KPFT had a $1.6 million a year budget and about 17 people employed on their payroll. This dates back now over 20 years when we were able to have that kind of resource for community radio, such as No More. What we're asking for during this fund drive are the dollars to pay the basic bills. If you look at our budget, it contains one full-time employee and a few part-time people, such as myself on paper. But the reality is, not only is this a full-time job, during fund drive, it's 60 to 80 hours a week for many of us. And what we're looking to do is gather up these funds just to pay the basic bills to keep these broadcasts coming. It would be so good if a lot of the folks that are doing the labor, now I'm not speaking to myself, but we have others involved here that are living on a very, very thin razor's edge where income is concerned, to the point of questionable, reliable transportation, etc., paying the rent. And they're doing this out of the love for community radio. Dedicated maniacs. We got a lot of them. And those dedicated maniacs are keeping this signal coming to you. We are trying to get to 170,000 so that we know we have budgeted and we can predict that we'll have enough to pay the entirety of what comes to us until we ask you for more money again in October. Now, Phyllis, Bruce, and Susan, they both made significant contributions this morning. Thank you to you both. We would be at zero without you. That says something too, that just two people have stepped forward and provided the sustenance for so many others. But for you others that have not yet pledged, consider those people that are struggling to get by just to get you this signal, this program and every program, and think about your consumption of KPFT, your listening habits. If you have not yet made a pledge and you're a regular listener to this program or any programs, a little bit or a lot, do your part. And you measure your part. That could be a $5 pledge. That could be $5 a month. That could be a bigger pledge, something like $20 a month or $100 one time. Get a Politics Done Right t-shirt. Get the Coffee with Egberto. I'm tempted to join in on a couple of these just to get listener feedback. What are we doing to cause you to not donate apart from asking you for money over and over in the morning? And I get it. I understand it. I mean, I'm a listener too, but we need to do this. And you can shut us up by making a donation. Just making the goal will get us to go away and just continue with our regular programming. So for those of you that have not pledged, we've got about 8 minutes left till we get to Democracy Now! Let's see if we can encourage you to do that, take that step. 951 people have now donated $157,248. We are within $13,000 of finishing this drive. So there you go. A Mazda CX-9, a 2018 model with lots of miles on it, costs about the same thing. That we are short. Consider the value difference. Your mind or a used car. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Tom Hartman, a $5 a month sustaining contribution or $60 one time. Support this program. Support free speech First Amendment radio with your call or your click at kpft.org. Egberto, back to you.
Thank you so kindly, Sandy. This is KPFT Houston. Let's go to Brian. Brian, real quick.
Yeah, are you going to allot me the same amount of time as you have your other callers?
Go ahead and start speaking, sir.
Yeah, your narrative about the 4.7 square miles, that's not the drone footage I saw of the 18-mile backup when they shut down the freeway. Is that the same drone footage that we're talking about, and the graffiti that's been portrayed falsely, or the breaking into the shoe stores, or the CVS's, or the AutoZones? Is this the same narrative you want to talk about? They wave the Mexican flag, but yet don't want to leave this country. They get mad that they're getting deported from actual rules and laws that are formed by this nation. Is this the narrative you want to speak about?
I
What
am very,
you know?
first of all, everything that I said was factual, number one. And number two, you can bloviate with whatever you want to talk, but I mean, I think before you sit on your high horse, my dear brother, you should remember our original sin in this country. So I tell you, and I'm not talking about slavery, I'm talking about genocide to take the land of others. These people are coming over here to work. We should try to find a way to get them within the framework, but never you sit on a high horse and think that you have some moral authority to kick folks out after we formed this country the way we did. Thank you very much and goodbye.
There you
Um,
go.
all right, let's see. Folks, I'm sorry for that, for being upset, but the thing about it is we are human. And whenever we forget the one thing that upsets me the most is when we treat the other as an other. Okay, whenever we do that, whenever we try to take away somebody's humanity, and if you take a look at how those animals are arresting people, stepping on their heads, breaking up families, etc., that's inhumane. And if you support that on some terms of, well, they are here illegally. All I ask you to do, I am not asking anybody to feel a guilt because of the genocide that we did at the formation of this country. I am not asking you to take blame for that. I'm not asking you to hold that on your cusp. But what I'm saying is, as a human being, who watched the formation, the formative years of this country made by inhumaneness, that these folks that are coming out here are not coming to conquer, but are coming to work our fields, work our families, work all these other issues that we want, and that we have some evil leaders that would have your carnality mess with you into hating other good human beings. Let's fix the immigration problem, but let's not break families up. Let not have that young lady, Daddy, why are they taking you away? Daddy, where is the humanity? Brian, where is your humanity, sir? I mean, trying to make it's about laws. Donald Trump is the biggest thug we've ever had in office. The biggest thug, bar none, not only in office, but as a person, the biggest thug. And you want to talk about the rule of law? Come on, guy. Grow a heart. PJ Schuster says, right, they were supposed to be arresting the criminals, but they are grabbing hard workers. Susan Pagoda says, the people they are picking up here legally, they have been here living and working while waiting to make their status permanent. Thank you. You guys understand humanity. Come on, people. Uju says Brian needs a hug. Someone give Brian an elephant hug. I heard that it is very therapeutic. Anyway, have a great rest of the day, Berto. Thank you, Uju. Folks, we are about 8 minutes out and we still need some more calls. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Please let them know this is for Politics Done Right, so it'll be tagged appropriately, or go to kpft.org, kpft.org, hit that donate button, select Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting. Let me pass it to the studio for some good ending words from El Senor, Jacques Van Bever, and Howard Reynolds.
Well, the other day I was thinking that all this economic mess started under Nixon. It didn't start under Reagan. It was exacerbated under Reagan.
Yeah, true,
but it
sir,
started
true.
under Nixon. Jack, what you got? Jack says nothing. Go ahead and take it home, Egberto.
Thank you, my brother. Folks, again, I'm going to do one last speech. I want to ask you so kindly. As you heard many of our great callers, and if you look into our chat, we have some damn smart folks in the chat that call into the program. Love you all, man. You guys are America. You are America. Now, what we have to do is replicate your knowledge around America. That is what we need to do. You're here in a chat with people with like minds, etc. But what we need is for you to replicate yourself. Infect other people with who you are. Infect them with who you are, folks, because you are good people. I'm listening to watching the conversation in the chat. You are America. You are what those of us that grew up elsewhere, and Uju would tell you that as well. The kind of folk that we are seeing here is who we knew America to be. Folks, look, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Uh, Select whatever, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you can. Keep us alive. kpft.org. You can go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, select Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting, and let's get this baby over. I got to get out of here. Howard is going to kick me out in a minute. Love you all. Write me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. The newsletter is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
We join Democracy Now! In Progress on KPFT.